Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle along with Shannon, Griffith coming to you from Indiana's Memorial Stadium after tonight's spring game. The first iteration of Curt Cignetti's squad hits the ground running, and we've got to see a lot of things tonight. A lot of offense, a lot of defense. The offense was successful, but I don't know which quarterback had a better night, to be honest with you. Curtis Rourke had a fine night, but Taven Jackson, man, he two big drives, an 80-yard drive and a 90-yard drive. Addison Kobe looked good. The running backs looked good. Defense looked a lot faster. There were so many differences for this Indiana squad that we already see, and it's only been since last winter and up till spring. They've got all summer to go and all fall camp yet, so they've got a long way to go on where we're going to end up seeing them when that first game rolls around with Florida International. But I'm thinking that even though I know he's not, if he was in a room by himself, he may say that, yeah, I think things went okay tonight, but I'm talking about, of course, Curt Cignetti, who coaches are never happy, and one would know former coach here, Coach Shannon here. But it was a good look for Indiana tonight, I thought.
Yeah, I think you would say that they got what they wanted out of it, being that it was just two 15-minute halves, which is, they still got the reps they needed because of doing a no huddle, so they got probably 60, 70 good reps tonight. I thought Taven Jackson looked very good, had a couple of those big drives, and I know Coach Cignetti talked about they kind of exposed the freshman corner on a couple of them, which shows you some of their youth. Defensively, I think there's pieces there. I think they're missing a few that hopefully they can address through the portal. Like Coach Cignetti said, I'm not just going to go out and look for somebody. I'm looking for the best. So I'm sure defense will be that focus. Offensive line, I thought they were solid. I did. I really thought they were solid. I thought they got good push at the point of their attack. Their running game, I like the running back room. I think they've got three talented kids back there that can help make offensive linemen right. And that's when you've got a good running back room, is because, the offensive linemen can only do so much at the point of attack. Create lanes, get a good push. The offensive backs have to make the linemen right. And I thought tonight that showed on some of the runs that those kids had. So the running game, I think, is in good, solid hands with what they've got. And it's, probably one of the quickest, fastest running back groups that I've seen around here in a long time, coupled with a wide receiver group that also showed a lot of promise tonight. And Donovan McCulley had a couple nice plays.
Well, you mentioned something very key, the offensive line, because that has been, Indiana football's had a lot of issues over the years, but here of late, the last few years, the offensive line has just been, nothing could get going. And if you don't have a solid offensive line, you're not going to be able to run the ball. You're not going to be able to throw the ball. They were able to do both of those things tonight and do it very well. But this is early. So imagine what it's going to be like once they get through the summer, get through the fall, and really get together, because virtually all these guys are new on this roster. Yeah. So they're all getting together for the first time, and this was the first time to really come out in front of people, the first time they tackled all year. So there's a lot of positives, but man, for people who think this is the same old Indiana, I already answered a tweet earlier. I was like, I don't think so. And they look faster on both sides of the ball, and just in every aspect. It's not perfect, like you said. You got a freshman corner who got exposed, but that should happen when you've got a senior quarterback back there, and then you have another experienced quarterback in Taven Jackson, and Tyler Cherry came out and he did okay. I don't remember what his stats were. We don't have the stats exactly right now in front of us, but I do know that Taven Jackson probably piled up some numbers.
Well, yeah, he had a couple drives there where he made some good decisions. I was a little surprised on maybe some of the blitzes that they were bringing. I didn't know if they would show that much defensively in terms of some of their pressures. And the quarterback's going to be responsible for a lot of that off the edge stuff. And I thought, Taven did a great job of recognizing it and hitting the routes to the receivers that were running hot routes that led to big plays. And that's what, you're always looking for offensively, is when a defense brings the pressure, how do you handle it? Kind of a grace under fire scenario, and then do you make the correct play? Because that's when gets defenses back on their heels, because if you can stop them doing what they like to do and hit them for some big plays here and there, then as an offense, you feel like you're in control of the game and you get things rolling. And I thought Taven did a nice job of that tonight, especially in those first 2 drives.
And not only are they solid at quarterback, they have depth at quarterback. We haven't even seen Alberto Mendoza, who's not even on campus yet.
Right.
So you've got a 4th guy who will be coming, who is a pretty daggone good player. So they're going to put it's not going to be the same old Indiana. I can promise you that. And as far as the blitzes, which we saw a lot of, I'm like, toward the end, there was another corner blitz. I'm like, damn, here comes another one. But Kurt Cignetti you can kind of tell he's not going to give everything away, but he's also like, hey, here's what we're going to do. Stop us. And well, maybe you think you know what we're going to do, but we're going to mix it up.
Right. Yeah, not to say that he played all his hands tonight, but I thought you saw pretty much what I think we all expected to see based upon some of the conversations that we've all had. I think you saw an offense that was multidimensional in what they did, especially with the tight ends. They attached them, they unattached them, they spread them out, did some things like that. They did some 4 receiver sets as well. And then you saw from a defensive perspective, you saw some of the zone pressures and things of that magnitude that they also did. And, like you said, I think, that's their base. I think what we saw tonight was their base. Now, what happens beyond that is to anybody's guess, because that's when some of the exotic stuff comes into play and game plan and stuff. But look, I think if you look at it from the perspective, did you get what you wanted out of it? Yes. I think we saw some improvement in the areas that they need to improve in, and I think we saw some areas that they're a little bit short in, and they're going to have to go into the portal here and maybe find some D linemen. I think they're a little shallow there, and in the secondary, I think there's a little question mark there. Linebacker, I think they feel pretty good with what they got. Aiden Fisher, I mean, I'm always impressed with that young man when he speaks at the mic, just the way he handles himself. And, of course, we got a chance to listen to Curtis tonight for the first time throughout the entire spring. And you can see, big, strong kid, and I like the way he handled himself in front of the media there tonight as well. But, hey, they're going to make a big jump, like you said, from now until fall camp. That will be their biggest leap as a team, both in the weight room as well as comprehension of what they're doing.
Football IQ is something that we saw in both of the guys that spoke tonight, Curtis Rourke and Aiden as well. Like you said, you can hear the football mentality. You can hear it carry over from Kurt Cignetti on the change that is Indiana football. And I'm not telling everybody they should get all jacked up and think Indiana's going to win the Big Ten or anything like that. But I am saying this is not the same old Indiana. And I said it out on the show already. I think this team goes to a bowl game minimum, partly because of their schedule is set up so well with 8 home games and a lot of other things going as well. But I don't know that a lot of people are going to expect this much change from Indiana.
No, and I think, when there's a change in a staff, you've always got a new approach to things, so everything is new. It looks different. It feels different. That's a natural feeling to occur. Ultimately, it's going to be what's displayed on a Saturday afternoon or evening that ultimately makes that final decision. But you can see that the steps that they've made in terms of the short turnaround from the Coach Cignetti's hiring, how quickly he went through recruiting, to a minimum number of days actually spring practice. I mean, he really didn't take all the days that he needed or could for spring practice this year. So I think you got to feel pretty positive about what is in place. And like I said, if they can find a few more pieces here and there, I think you can see that opportunity for them to have a good season. Now, ultimately, they got to work for it. And if nothing's going to be given to them, they're not going to sneak up on anybody. You're going to have to come play every week in the Big Ten. Or should I say the Big 14 or 15 or whatever it is nowadays. Whatever it is nowadays. I don't know if they've added any more or not. But, each and every week is going to be a battle. And but I do like what we've seen thus far. And I think Coach Cignetti is pretty happy with that running back room.
And offense is usually comes around a little slower than the defense. Mm-hmm. Defense is usually you can almost fake it on speed sometimes until you make it, fake it until you make it. But tonight the offense looked kind of in sync this early on, and with those 3 different quarterbacks out there, and the running backs and the receivers, they looked like they were in sync. I mean, this is not what they're gonna. You expect them to look like 6 games into the season. Of course, that'd be much better, but it was a little bit. I was a little bit impressed with what they were able to get accomplished tonight, especially those long drives. I mean, those are not easy to get, and if they can pull those off more than once this year, that's what gets you into games, winning games. It's a lot better to be able to score from 80 yards than it is to have to work for it for 8, 9, 10-minute drives all the time.
Yeah, and the biggest thing you said there is finishing. You know, that was one of the big problems last year, was being able to finish offensively when they would have a drive and they would get it down into the red zone inside the 10 and have to come away with a field goal and not get the 7 points. You know, that's going to be the big component moving forward with this team, is to get over that hump. I thought tonight, a couple times when they got it down there, they threw one into the end zone that Macaulay caught in the back of the end zone, and then they ran a couple in, which was good to see as well, because you're also going to have to be able to run the football down there as well. So a lot of positives, a lot of things to work on. Good first step. Now you got to see what happens between now and fall and take it from there. From
a coaching perspective, when you leave this tonight, how happy are you? But I know that the coaches have to go back and they have to watch the film. You can't, especially when you're on the field, you've got to get the bird's eye view and run each play back and watch the line, watch this play, watch that, what failed, what worked, why, this, that, and the other thing. So they'll have to go back and look at all that. But there were a lot of things to be happy about. Being a former coach, what are some of the things that you saw that really kind of stood out?
Well, I said this, I think, this morning on the radio show, is that you're looking for that crisp, clean type of game where you don't see a lot of blown assignments or offsides. Now, was there a couple bonehead offsides? Yeah, there was 2. But I think when Coach Cignetti puts on this film and looks at it, I think he'll look at it and say, we look like we're a coach football team. And that's the most important thing. You got kids that know what they're doing, what their assignment is. Now, it may not be where they need it to be, but they're in the right direction. And I think that's what he'll come away with, that he feels like, hey, we're getting through to them. We're teaching them the right things. They've got to correct a few things. But as far as the big picture, it looked like a well-coached football team that did things pretty clean and crisp tonight.
And I mentioned Taven Jackson having such a great night, and Kurt Cignetti said that he was wondering is his second-team offense that much better or the second-team defense worse. He goes, I think I know the answer to that, and I think I know what he was thinking as well. The offense looked pretty good. The defense has got to pick up, like you said. They need to add some pieces, but that's what this is for, to see where are you exactly in voids. Where are the voids? Where do you need to get better? For him to be happy knowing that he can go out and take his team to compete in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I think he alluded to a little bit of this in the press conference. They've already done some recruiting and evaluating the portal, what's in there as of right now. I think they have a pretty good handle what's in there. They're going to take their time. They got spring recruiting where the coaches will be out on the road, and from now until that whenever that June period where it shuts, you're going to see a pretty active portal that Indiana's going to have an interest in, to see if they can plug some pieces of the puzzle into what they've got here already tonight.
Yeah, it's crazy that there are guys that are on this roster right now that will not be when fall camp rolls around. And there are guys that aren't on the roster that will be when fall camp rolls around, if they can fill in those spots. But like I said, I think that there's great reason to be optimistic if you're an Indiana football fan. I'm not saying, like I said, they're going to go out and win the Big Ten, but they are set up to have a decent season, especially for a first-year coach. And that game at UCLA, that's going to be a barometer. It's a long ways off, right, but that'll be a barometer for people to look at. So, but fun night out here at Indiana's Memorial Stadium. The rain held off, which is the best part, and it held off for us to do this as well. But we'll be back at it, and then next Thursday again, Coach Shannon Griffith joins us from Hoosier Tailgate as he does each week on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. And I'll be there tomorrow morning, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this as well as what's going on in the basketball portal as well. But to wrap it up, for Shannon Griffith from Hoosier Tailgate and Indiana Sports Beat Radio, Jim Coyle, I'll see you on the radio.